Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the last segment of the night. It's Colin's Corner. It's time for a little bit of reflection about all the stuff we've talked about. We did cover a lot. You guys are really good about that. Especially all the stuff about violence against women, which is kind of a tricky topic to tackle. It's weird. I don't want to come across like I'm speaking for anyone, especially women in this instance, because I don't feel it's my place. What is my place and that I feel absolutely confident to talk about is the status of being raised as a man in this country and why it is absolutely a problem. Like, if you guys notice this, I feel like a couple of guys, and especially the women will pick up on this, like, all we have to understand about what it is to be a man is, like, football and the Anzacs. Like, that's it. Do you know real? Yeah, okay. Like, all we have is there's nothing about empathy or caring or compassion or mindfulness. No, it's just a game of football, grabby grab, and a minute's silence once a year so we can understand what it's like to be a woman in a boardroom. Like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, that's ridiculous. All we have is a game that's based on competitive aggression, doing whatever you can to get what you want, and a military history that values never dogging the boys and pushing through with a mistake, even though we are all told and educated from a very young age that we probably shouldn't have done it in the first place. Like, are you fucking hearing this? Like, that's ridiculous to me. Does that make sense? Like, sorry, but could you have picked two worse things for young men in Australia to emulate themselves on? Like, oh yeah, you just want to behave like the skunk from Looney Tunes if he was raised by Chopper. Like, oh, run along now, don't dog the boys, bye. Like, that's ridiculous. And you see it all the time. Like, Australian men go out of their way to, like, not engage with anything that challenges them at their core level, their psyche, about who they think they are, you know, because you aren't considered a better Australian for growth. You just aren't considered Australian, full stop. Like, I get that shit all the time. I think a lot of artists and stuff, especially a lot of young men who are trying to, be a bit more educated about this kind of stuff, will get the, who the fuck do you think you are? Kind of stuff. Look at this fucking guy. I get all that. Like, if Australia's national anthem was accurate to what it is like to be an Australian man, it would just say, Australians all let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. You think you're better than me? Like, the Australian male psyche is so fucking weak. We can't handle anything. We undermine and criticism, anything that even remotely threatens us. Like, how many fucking young dudes do you see pulling out hot, edgy takes, being like, oh, the AFLW fucking sucks. They can't even kick straight, man. They're bullshit, such low scores. Well, you didn't let them play for 300 years, you fucking thumbtack. Are you serious? You out of your fucking mind? Like, yeah, they might not be scoring as high, but you know what they are doing? Outperforming their male counterparts, which is why more than half the time the female Fremantle Dockers on the AFLW are higher on the ladder than the fucking men's team. But even then, they're still like, nah, it doesn't count, man. It doesn't count because if you're not performing against the absolute best, like, if you're fucking useless, anyone can challenge you for what you do. Oh, is that why you're afraid of refugees taking your job, champ? I'm so sick of this, like, man, couldn't do what we do, fucking in the mines, fucking shoveling shit all day. Mate, what the fuck do you think nurses do? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Spend all day shoveling literal shit whilst you stand in a road in bumfuck nowhere turning a sign every 5 minutes from stop to slow. Are you fucking serious? And even then, they still have the audacity. It's like, you do nothing, man. You do nothing. You stand as a spotter. You get watching someone else do the real work, being like, yeah, I'm part of the team, this is my victory. No, champ, you did nothing. It's those same dudes that are like, oh, we won the premiership. You did fuck all. You sat and watched another team. Like, it's getting too real. You sat and watched another team, all right, whilst you watched and fucking played with yourself on the couch. Like, oh, we won. What position did you play, champ? Centre half recline? Like, that's just the audacity. I still get the same dudes every day going with the same, like, flawed logic and the same bullshit statistics, like, the wage gap isn't even real, man. It's like, dude, Gallipoli was 100 years ago. Why are Australian men still picking such shitty hills to die on? Sorry, this is the part of the show that gets to be real. This is all the material I can't do in Australian comedy clubs because Carl Barron never talked about violence against women. Well, maybe he fucking should have. Sorry, but like, just say something for once in your entire life. I have no fucking patience for banal Barron and the culture of apathy that worships him. Like, just move on. You're done. Do you know what I mean? But you're still the fucking best. The footy show. Yeah, it was 20 years ago. Sorry, it got too real. I'm sorry. No, it did. But on a positive note, here's something you guys might not have considered. Do you know Julia Gillard was the most effective Prime Minister in Australia's history? You guys know that? She passed on average 5.15 pieces of legislation a day compared to the next best, Bob Hawke, at 0.494. Like, that's mental. That was one woman. Imagine how much better Australia would be if we incorporated women more freely. Like how much more progressed we could be. Like she did all that on statistically 1/5 of the iron. You forget that, don't you? You forget that most of the women, most of the time, are functioning malnourished. Meanwhile, men, we're just throwing in meat pies, lamingtons the whole time. We're just fueling ourselves with junk like a DeLorean in the second Back to the Future. And women are just running on fumes. Just a shower and a hug. That gets them through. That's mental. Do you know what I mean? Oh, what'd you do? Oh, I drank a glass of water today and afterpaid some candles. I'm ready to go. It's like, there's no... I was anemic. This is true. I was anemic last year. This is true. I had to get an iron infusion. I was so anemic. I was falling asleep around 11 a.m. Do you know what I mean? That's mental. And now, women are doing this and still getting it stuff done. Women are anemic and will go to Bikram yoga, hot Bikram yoga, to relax. That's mental. Guys being like, oh, they could never do what we do. You know, making $100,000 as a fucking FIFO in the mine. Mate, if it got any hotter in the rural Australia, women would be paying to go out there to de-stress. Do you know what I mean? If Gallipoli was any hotter, there'd be women going for a holiday just in the trenches oh, it's just nice to be outside in an environment where less men want to kill me. I'm just bored. I'm so bored with the bullshit non-arguments of men just need to pretend imagine this is someone that's close to you, or we just need to be better. It's man, you actually don't get change from fighting the old. Socrates said that fucking 2,000 years ago. You get it from supporting the new ideas, the new systems, the new people. And so I don't think we should be worried about fighting old Australia. If they want to stay there fighting on the same beach with the same battles, fucking leave them on the beach. We don't need that. Women are being killed like it's a war. It's an actual fucking war. So why bother about bringing people in the middle ground when there's no middle ground and no man's land? Do you know what I mean? The reality is, if you incorporate women, you are going to work faster, you are going to work harder, you are going to outperform. And so the people who do that and adopt that will eventually cannibalize every single thing that doesn't, and then it's just pure Darwinism, baby. And I know this might upset some people, but I just don't think there's a situation where you can ever not upset people with saying something. I don't think we can afford to not say anything anymore. So it really is tricky, and I hope I don't upset anyone with this, but I think if what this show is and what this show is about, and even me joking around with Sam, whatever, if it upsets you, I think there's one thing you should remember, and that is I'm a straight white male, fast-talking, educated, and arrogant with a platform and a conscience. I will fucking steamroll you. So get ready, Australia, because this is Ebsworth tonight. Thank you so much for coming out, guys. We had an amazing show. Give it up for our special guest, Stuart Aubrey, musical act Bex, Matt Storer, Sherry Lee Biggs and Verily. We had Frankie Rosethorn, our incredible cast and crew, and everyone here at the Rechabite. Our sponsors, Pirate Live. Guys, this has been an absolute treat. Follow those Instagram, social media, Patreon. See you next time.